Arena All Access. I'm your host, Josh, and I have with me the general manager of the Appalachian Wireless Arena, Paul Bowles. How you doing, Paul Bowles?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you today?
Doing wonderful.
That's great.
It's a special day, isn't it, Paul?
I heard something about that, yeah.
It's actually Paul's birthday. So tell the folks at home who have not met you, Paul, a little bit about you.
Well, I started in the industry. I've been associated with Arena since I was probably 16 years old, working in high school, and spent most of my career in Salem, Virginia, and saw a posting for the general manager of the Appalachian Wireless Arena and said, why not? Let's take a chance. And been here about a year and 3 months now.
What we are going to learn from Paul Bowles today is the steps of booking a show. That's what we're going to learn from you. You ready for this? I've got questions.
We're going to try our best, yeah.
Paul has said my questions are not very good. I'm trying my best. As you all know, I try my best. So the first question that we're going to ask on this brand new season of Arena All Access booking shows, Paul, you ready? What makes a GM satisfied with the act they booked?
Well, you have to get to see what the need is out there, what are people looking for. You're looking at the different genres of music. You're trying to keep an even balance between all of them. So it's radio play, people calling, emailing, things like that, seeing what's hot, what's popular, what was popular that may be still popular here, and trying to find the best show, and hopefully it's routing towards you.
There you go. Next question I have for you, how would you define Pikeville, Kentucky's market?
Would be a tertiary market. Your primary markets is where the tours really originate from. That's what's going to be the main focus when it comes to the people making decisions in Nashville and LA or New York. And then it works its way down to the secondary and tertiary markets, and that's where we hope that we can get out in front of the show and hopefully get those to take a look at our market before they go somewhere else.
How do we as a building gain attention from promoters?
Hey, it's about as the old saying goes in the business, you're only good as your last show. So it's always, how well did we do on ticket sales? Were people receptive to the show? Where is that show? Is it a mid-level show? Is it a hot show? And if our ticket sales are comparable to the national averages out there, promoters will pay attention to the market.
Question for you, and this comes up a lot. How do last day ticket sales affect an arena?
Well, it slows down your booking process. You're constantly, you're having to book sometimes 6 months to a year out. So when you're doing those shows, you want to get, if you got a show that's announcing and on sale, you're hoping to see a good number of ticket sales in that beginning so that you can get another show announced. It just slows down the process if we're what's called back end heavy on ticket sales.
This question comes up a lot too, Paul. Are we a country market?
Well, you're going to be defined a country market just like anybody else in the Mid-Atlantic and East Coast side. That's what works. Most country acts get more radio play on this side of the country. There's more venues, and so it's easier for them to route through these areas. And so, if you think about it, when you're in your car and you're going through those stations, you're going to pick up more country stations than you do rock stations in this market.
Makes sense. But you wouldn't define us as...
Well, I think the shows that we've done in the past has shown that we're not just a country market. REO Speedwagon, we competed with those national numbers. Black Label Society, which is don't even get radio play on mainstream radio, and we did very, very well with it in the numbers that they were hoping that show to do.
So folks that weren't familiar, which I don't know how they didn't hear about the show, but just come off the 3 sold-out nights of Tyler Childers. You yourself and Assistant General Manager Larry Miller did a great job with that. Tell us about that show, what that turned into.
Well, it's great for the area. It's great for the venue itself. It's something for us to brag about. In this day and age, there's so many venues out there. There are 40 in the state of Kentucky, and so to get a sold-out show is not as easy as it used to be, and to be able to do 3 in 5 days, it's pretty spectacular.
Guys, there's always something going on at the Appalachian Wireless Arena. For more information, visit AppalachianWirelessArena.com. We're going to join Wes in the kitchen next.
All right, welcome to the Appalachian Wireless Arena kitchen, where periodically we're going to come down, have the guys come in, show you how to make some stuff. from your house that will make you appear to be a lot better of a cook than maybe you even are. So we figured we would start out with something pretty simple, pretty basic. I think a lot of people in the culinary business get this question all the time, and I know I get it from time to time myself, and that's what's the best way to cook a steak? Today we're going to do a technique called butter basting. It's going to take a prime piece of meat and just take it to the next level. With this steak that we're working with today, we're doing about a 2.5 inch cut ribeye. This is going to be a real simple, quick little dinner you can throw together for your family. It's probably going to take 30 minutes. There's very little prep involved. I actually bought some nice tricolored potatoes, some purple, red, and gold potatoes that we're just going to roast off nice and simple and fresh. And then what goes better with a steak than asparagus? So we'll show you we're going to prep the asparagus as well. So I think let's get to cooking. So we've got some nice, beautiful tricolored potatoes here. We got the red, the yellow, and the purple potatoes. Don't be afraid of the purple potatoes. They're delicious. They taste just like the red. And as you can see, just beautiful on the inside. We're going to just kind of split these little guys in half. And we're going to toss those in a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of salt and pepper. Simple, easy. Throw them in the oven, roast them about 15 minutes till they're nice and crispy. Simple and plain. What we're going to want to do with the star of the show, which is this guy. Nice, prime, 2.5 inch cut, beautiful ribeye steak. As you can see, beautiful marbling and the fat in there. Don't be afraid of the fat, man. This is good. This is going to make your steak delicious. This cut of meat will probably serve at least 3 people. I paid 20 bucks for it, and this is the prime cut. So all we're going to want to do with this is a little bit of kosher salt. Actually, not a little bit. This is a huge piece of meat. We're going to want to go heavy with the kosher salt. So don't be afraid. You're going to think, oh my God, that's a lot of salt. But listen, this is a huge piece of meat. You want to season it. You want that salt to really penetrate, and then just mop up what's on the pan with the sides of your steak. One thing I tell people all the time, and it may seem a little crazy, but fresh cracked pepper. Listen, there's no replacing fresh cracked pepper. We here in this kitchen, we use a peppercorn medley, pink, white, and black peppercorns. So listen, I'm a pepper guy, so I'm gonna go heavy, and I'm gonna make sure I get all of my sides. You know, when you're dealing with a piece of meat like this, and it's not necessarily a must or anything, but I like to grab a little butcher's twine. It's just gonna kind of keep this guy together and keep him from separating once he starts getting hot in the pan now. And now we're ready to sear our steak. We got it seasoned. Got my neutral oil here. Like I said, we use peanut oil, use vegetable, canola, whatever it is you want to use. So my pan is just ripping hot right now, and that's what we want. We want to get a nice, even crust on the outside of this steak. And you don't have to go crazy with the oil. Just want a nice little layer, just a nice little bed to lay this little guy in. And we're gonna go right in with our steak. I'm even gonna turn this up a little bit, but that's the sound you wanna hear. You want that sizzle, and that means, listen, that just means beautiful things are happening. Now we're gonna let this go a couple minutes on this side just to develop that nice crust on the steak. Once we flip it, again, this oil that I have in my pan, very high burn temperature. So when I add my butter, it's going to prevent the butter from just immediately burning. So it's going to give us a nice little, you're basically just basting this steak in a nice brown butter, garlic, thyme concoction. It's going to be great at the end. All right, so I got my garlic cloves here. If I want to, I can throw these in there whole. I like to just give them a quick little mash just to open them up a little bit more. Just gonna help release that flavor that I'm looking to incorporate into the beef, and we should be getting about where we need to be. And that's about what you're looking for. I'm gonna give him another second because I want like a really nice layer of crust on the outside of this beef, and that just equals flavor. It just equals flavor. And again, we're gonna maintain this nice caramelization on the outside of this beef, but we want it to stay nice and pink and medium rare in the middle. This is looking beautiful right now. So I'm just gonna prop him up on the side because I wanna get that, I wanna build that crust. The more surface area we have on this beef, the more crust we're gonna develop, and ultimately the better it's gonna taste at the end of the process. We're gonna add garlic, whole garlic cloves. We're gonna add a few sprigs of thyme. That's just aromatic. Just gonna fry that thyme in there. And then when I say copious amounts of butter, I mean copious amounts of butter. We're just gonna turn this guy down a little bit because we're gonna start smoking in here. But this is what you want to happen. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more thyme to that. Now, once everybody starts kind of making their way, getting to know each other in this pan, take a very large spoon. Obviously, this is not something you want to make every day. This is a special occasion. Maybe it's somebody's birthday, I don't know. Maybe you've just had a tough emotional day. Maybe Friday fell on the first of the month and you fought through a lot of traffic trying to go down Cassidy Boulevard. People in Pikeville will know what I mean. That can be very emotional. After you've basted it for a few minutes, really work that flavor of the thyme and the fresh garlic into the beef itself. We're gonna turn our skillet off. Now listen, this is gonna look very good on the outside. As you can see, we've got some beautiful caramelization. We've got nice crust developed on the outside of this beef, but don't be fooled by that. This meat is probably around 75 to 80 degrees interior. And listen, if you want to take that kind of chance, have at it. If you like your steak extra rare, you're there right now, but just understand that this steak is still cold in the middle. So what I'm gonna wanna do is I'm gonna wanna throw this thing in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Let it come up to right where I want it to be. I'm gonna pull it at about 115 degrees, which is under medium rare, but as that steak rests, we're gonna pull it out, we're gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes. Now, that's easier said than done. You're gonna wanna eat this thing, but just hold off, give it about 10 minutes. So we're gonna go into about a 350 degree oven. If you're we're doing this in a convection oven, obviously in this kitchen. If you're doing it at home, you can crank that oven up to about 400 degrees. Just gonna ensure you get a nice even cook on your steak. So we're gonna get this prepped while we're waiting on our potatoes and while we're waiting on our steak to finish. Now, when you're cleaning your asparagus, one thing you want to make sure of is that you're cutting your asparagus in the right place. So a good way to do that is to take your stalk of asparagus, just bend it wherever it breaks naturally. That's where you're going to kind of want to take the rest of your bunch. Take your guy that you just broke off. You saw where that broke naturally. Just going to want to take him, put him right beside that. And that's where you want to cut your whole stalk of asparagus, or your whole bunch of asparagus. The simplicity of some of these recipes is the beautiful part about it. There's no need to, listen, we know steak is delicious. We know asparagus is delicious with potatoes. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just trying to give you a good solid dinner that you can put on your table for your family, somebody that you love, whoever you're cooking for, and be proud of it. So we're gonna take our asparagus. Actually, I'm not gonna use neutral oil for that. I'm gonna use olive oil. Get yourself a good bottle of olive oil. Get yourself, a good bottle of olive oil, good cheese, things like that are gonna go a long way into making sure that the end product of whatever it is you're preparing is gonna be as good as it can possibly be. And that's what a lot of cooking is. You start out with good product and you treat it right, the odds are you're gonna end up with something that's fantastic, regardless of the steps you take in the preparation of that. It's just going to turn out nicer. So we're going to go a nice drizzle of olive oil. I like it when the little tips of the asparagus just kind of get nice and crispy. And then similar to what we did with the steak, we're going to go kosher salt. As little or as much as you want. Listen, I'm a salt guy. You know, I'm going to go big on the salt. And then again, peppermill, fresh cracked black pepper. And then with gloves on this time, give it a little movement around the pan. Just make sure everybody gets a little love in there and gets a nice good coating of the olive oil, salt, and pepper. Something else you can do with this, if you want to give it a little spray of some fresh lemon juice, maybe a little lemon zest, it's up to you. That's the thing. You know what your family likes. You know whoever you're cooking this for, whatever you want to do. Beautiful thing. So this is ready to go in the oven. We'll pop this in. Our steak's probably got about 5 to 7 more minutes left, and we're going to slice it, plate it up, and we'll see the end product. All right, so we've got our finished product here. It looks basically like it did when we went in. That internal temperature up around about 110 degrees right now. As beef, pork, meats like this cook, they tend to firm up a little bit. So a good way to check that is take your hand, touch this finger to your thumb, and feel this part of your hand right here. And that's about how a medium rare or a rare steak should feel. And then change your finger, medium rare, medium, well done. So it's just the firmness to touch if you don't have a meat thermometer. Now, even though this piece of beef is out of the oven, the residual heat's going to continue. It's going to continue to cook until it cools all the way. So what we're doing right now, we're just kind of letting this guy hang out, and we're going to give him a few minutes, and then we'll cut, and we're ready to eat. Our asparagus is done, our potatoes prepped and done. So we're ready to go onto a plate and have dinner. So this is a process that you can really knock out and have a dinner from start to finish on the plate for your family in a relatively short amount of time. I would say easily within an hour you can have this done. All right, we've got our finished product here. Beautiful cut of...
Wait a minute. Whoa. Thought I was cooking.
I mean,
Thought I was cooking.
it seems only fitting you show up as the meal's done. Right on time, you could say.
Mama didn't raise no fool.
Right on time. So we've got our beautiful piece of ribeye done. We've got our tricolored potatoes. We've got our asparagus. Just a nice little simple meal. And we're going to put it on a plate and get it ready to go. So Josh, hit us with a nice handful of potatoes while I...
Should I do this little move here?
Yes.
Okay.
You can definitely do that with.
Okay.
Well, I've got the salt here. One other thing to remember with your steak: take the butcher's twine off. Common mistake. Nobody wants to eat butcher's twine.
Rookie mistake.
So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this guy into strips. Yeah. Just
grab that.
prop him up.
All right.
And listen, all of this, there's still going to be a little fat on this ribeye, man. Listen. If you don't like fat, that's fine.
I'm
This
obviously
is good
not a
fat.
chef.
This is fat that melts in your mouth, right?
That sounds fantastic.
Come on.
Look at that. God.
I mean, that's,
Boom.
that's a beautiful, beautiful presentation. And thank God you showed up when you did. I just want to say that.
Got the hands for this.
We've got our beef beautifully cooked. So I'm just going to take
Looks
a
awesome.
few pieces of that. I'm just going to, listen. If you're serving this to your family, don't worry so much about plate presentation. However, you do eat with your eyes first. So we'll just kind of fan it out. This is just a way to finish it. And listen, this is completely optional. You don't have to do this. But I like to take some of the good olive oil we talked about before. If you've got a nice bottle of olive oil, and just a little drizzle right on top. And listen. You're good to go. I mean, that's dinner. That's America on a plate. God, am I wrong? Yes.
That's perfect.
Yeah, this is America on a plate. Potatoes, meat, asparagus. I mean, I don't know what more you could possibly want. Perhaps a salad.
Meat, taters, and a little green. That's what you need.
That's all you need. How about my sous chef for today? This guy, Josh KESLER, corduroy jacket, which I'm a little jealous of.
I mean, I'm trying to live back my 80s I mean, I was born in the 80s, so what happens, right?
Very handsome young man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks again for coming down to the kitchen. Listen, I like having visitors down here.
We're going to bring the cameras every time.
I'm down here, I'm secluded on this end of the arena by myself.
He sings a lot.
So it's nice to have people down here. Thanks again for joining us. We'll have something in store for you next time. Bulking season's almost over. We'll go a little healthier next time.
A little healthier?
Maybe a little Caesar salad. I don't know. We'll go a healthier route next time. Make this for your family. Make this for somebody you love. You're going to make this tonight, I bet. Listen, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time. Josh KESLER. Take us out.
We'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh KESLER from the Appalachian Wireless Arena, and this is our Heritage Highlight with Laid Back Country Picker. Laid Back, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm glad you came to see us. I know you drove a little further, and we appreciate that.
I'm just tickled to be anywhere at this point.
Well, I know you've been doing a lot of music. You've actually influenced a lot of folks in music since you started. Tell me about how you got started in the music industry.
Well, I became a musician because my parents played music. My dad was a bluegrass banjo and fiddle player, and I was just raised up in a house where there's always music going on. So
That's
that's
awesome.
pretty much all I've ever known.
Did you learn a certain instrument? Were you focused on a certain instrument?
Guitar was the first thing I got to play. Well, my dad first bought me this little plastic banjo. It had 3 or 4 plastic strings on it just so I could beat on it.
Yeah.
And after I showed an interest in it, he always had guitars. So I started out on guitar. And really early on, I always listened to his bluegrass. I was listening to Stanley Brothers, and Bill Monroe, and
The legends.
Flat and Scruggs. Yeah, that's all we listened to.
Now, another story that I want to bring up is the fact of how you were your teacher,
Yeah.
and you taught Mr. Tyler Childers.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I teach social studies at Lawrence County High School, and I teach mostly freshmen. And probably about, I don't know, probably 05, maybe 04. Got a little red-haired kid in my class named Tyler Childers, and I'd known his parents. I'd grown up with them, and I knew Tyler played music a little bit, and so we get to talking, and he would write some songs, and he would bring them in with this little piece of paper and say, you know, what do you think about this? And it was just a mind blower. He was writing like Bob Dylan when he was in the 9th grade.
Wow.
And I would take those songs home to my wife, and I'd say, look at this, look what this kid's written. And he was just way ahead of the curve at that point. And he was non-traditional at that point, too. He wasn't just writing, I've got a girl and she left me and I feel bad. He was getting into some deep stuff.
Wow. So you knew then he had a gift.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, he was playing guitar. He asked me one day in class, he said, do you know who Jack Kerouac is? You know, not a lot of freshmen in high school have even heard of Jack Kerouac. Wow. So Tyler was expanding his horizons, and his parents really promoted that a lot, and they gave him a lot of opportunities.
That's amazing. And he started out, and then he did 3 sold-out shows in the arena, which was great. You know, applause to him for that. He's doing fantastic.
Yeah.
You've been playing a lot. We want to focus on you because you're a very talented Eastern Kentucky artist. Tell me where you're going to be playing next.
You know, we got it's earlier in the year right now, and we'll have a big summer schedule. We got a bunch of stuff going on out west and just traveling around. But right now we're playing pretty close to home. We're going to do a couple shows at the MAC. Got some gigs in Lexington coming up, in Richmond. Staying fairly close to home to, you know, the school schedule keeps me tied down.
Gotcha.
But then we get out of school, you know, late spring, and that's when we'll probably hit the road. And we got several big things coming up this summer.
I like that. Where can folks reach you? Where can they get a hold of you?
You know, I do everything on Facebook. I remember a time when there wasn't the internet, and you had to nail a sign to a post to get people to come and see you. And then the internet happened, and you could put up a website and get it going. And I never fully got a handle on how to do that.
I'll give you some credit. I sent you a message. You were great response as far as getting back to me super quick. Like you're on point with that.
Well, now I don't do that for everybody. When I saw your name on it, though, I knew I had to take care of this.
No.
But everything I do is on Facebook now. One, because it's free and I'm really cheap. So when you can advertise free on Facebook, I've got a page up, Laid Back Country Picker. If you Google it, you hit it pretty quick.
I know our assistant GM Larry Miller is looking to have you for hopefully we'll get you in the Main Street Live.
We're talking to our attorneys right now to see if we can get that worked out. But
There we go.
I definitely want to come here and play.
Great. We'd love to have you. So let me ask you a question. Everywhere I see you, I see the Laid Back Country Picker. How did you develop Laid Back Country Picker?
It's an interesting little story. I was playing music with a guy named Rob McNerlin. He's the last of the Beatnik Cowboys. And we were touring out west, and we were in Texas on the 4th of July, and we played a show down there, and it was like getting around midnight, and it was really late. and they were shooting bottle rockets and Roman candles at people, and it was just getting crazy. And so my wife took a photograph of me, and I happened to be wearing these same glasses and a cowboy hat, and it's the middle of the night. And so we got them all developed and looked at them, and there was just a real cool picture of me just with my eyes looking like they're this big around, looking pretty addled. And we said, that's a really funny picture. And that guy looks like the laid-back country picker, which is a Waylon song.
Yeah.
So we sat on that photograph for years just like looking at it and making fun of it. And then I thought one time it would be cool to put that on a shirt. Yeah. Let's have a photograph of the shirt on it, or the picture on the shirt. So I made one, and it turned out real cool. And I showed it to Tyler, and Tyler's like, man, that's awesome. I'll wear that shirt. So Tyler took the shirt and wore it. And when Tyler wears your shirt, other people want to wear it. So I had a few printed off. I thought, well, if somebody buys them, that'd be great. And it just started selling. Wow. So I had this shirt selling with my face on it, and the character didn't have any music out. I thought, well, you know, I need to do something real quick. So we went to Whitesburg, and we recorded a record at Fat Baby Studios. We put it out just to kind of follow the shirt, and it just all took off.
Wow.
And here we sit.
There you go. People don't realize there's so much talent, Whitesburg, Pikeville, Prestonsburg, like all over the surrounding areas.
There is. You could just draw a little diamond of an area if you run over to Huntington, West Virginia, and then you jet over towards Lexington and come back down through Whitesburg. I don't know if it's some kind of Bermuda pyramid or triangle or whatever, but the talent here is amazing. And I think a lot of people are starting to find out. I mean, you got, I guess Stapleton and Sturgill really broke it wide open.
They did.
And then Tyler, look at Tyler now,
Yeah.
and Grammy nominated.
Of course.
And a lot of people, I think, are looking over here saying, what's going on? And people who live here know the talent pool is amazing.
Hey, we got to throw another name out there, Tyler Booth. He's another name that's blowing up right now.
Actually, the Mac show I'm doing is going to be with Tyler.
Great.
And I've played a couple shows with Tyler, and he's a big talent too, man. Expect big things from him.
He is. He actually played a Main Street Live, and he's already signed to a big label. We're excited for that.
I can't figure out how a skinny guy's got that big a voice coming out of it.
He has a voice.
Yes, he does. He's amazing.
Speaking of voices, we're gonna move on from the interview and get you to sing for us. We want to hear that voice going.
Well, we're going. You know, I'm no Tyler Booth, but I'll give you what I got.
Laid back, thank you for talking with me.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Josh, I want to thank you for having me on. We recorded a new record here a couple weeks ago, and it should be out this summer, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be called Kingsport, because we spent a lot of time down in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I had to write a song about it. So here's a little number called Kingsport off the new record. We let out of Kingsport in the middle of the night. We was playing country music, treating people right. When the amplifiers are cooled down, the guitars put away. I put that Vic in the hammer lane, and this is what I'll say. Well, that road is long, and my eyes are wide. Playing country music, treating people right. You know it ain't easy, it's the life I need. I've seen all good people and I've helped some friends in need. When I ramble through them cities, little country towns, Honey and me's picking it up and we're about to lay it down. Well, that road is long and my eyes are wide. Playing country music, treating people right. Yeah, that road is long and my eyes are wide. Playing country music, treating people right.